Time to cross the T's and dot the I's on the rest of this week's top stories. And with us now, radio talk show host Mark Levine in Washington, D.C. In New York is my good friend Liz McDonald, who's the Fox Business Stocks editor. And joining us is S.E. Cupp, author of Losing Our Religion, the liberal media's attack on Christianity. Welcome to all of you. Let's start with the story about BP. The well cap is holding, the cleanup's progressing, the oil is kind of disappearing, maybe, hopefully, but the company sent its CEO to Siberia this week. Yes, Tony Hayward replaced as CEO by American Bob Dudley. Mark, it sounds like he got his life back, kind of. He got $18 million, but he goes to Siberia. And will this do anything to clean up the Gulf any quicker?
Absolutely not. I don't think they're fooling anybody. What they did is they took a guy who failed in Russia, Robert Dudley, put him in America, and they took a guy who failed in America, Tony Hayward, put him in Russia, and they're giving him $18 million. You know, he lost $30 billion for BP, and they're paying him $18 million? I'll tell you what, I'll do 1,000 times better. I'll lose only $30 million for BP, and you only have to pay me $10 million. It's a good deal.
Liz, I mean, but at the same time, everybody said that he was... you know, he was the guy who, other than had his gaffes and so forth, he was the guy who was trying to clean up all the mistakes and negligence that had happened to BP prior to his taking over as CEO. Do you agree or disagree?
What is going on with Tony Hayward, Tom, is that he essentially lost credibility when he was stonewalling Congress at the hearings. You know, he lost the faith of the American government, I would say the American people, with his testimony. That hearing was pretty much a fatal for him in terms of his tenure as CEO. And as for Mr. Dudley, it seems that he's got a better working relationship with the U.S. government. For example, reports are out there that when basically BP was downgraded, he was upset that, you know, the stock was getting pounded and there was all this anti-BP rhetoric coming out of the White House and out of Congress. And he asked Larry Summers to lighten up on the rhetoric, because if that stock cratered and that company gets in trouble, then that $20 billion cleanup fund is in jeopardy. So, you know, it seems to me that Mr. Dudley has a better working relationship with the government.
S.E., I mean, this is one, though, where I looked at Congress and said, they brought Tony Hayward in to do an investigation on the Gulf mess before the Gulf mess was even taken care of. They were still working on the emergency. It was kind of like asking the fire department to come in to investigate your house fire while it's still on fire.
Right. Mistakes were made in so many places surrounding this oil spill. I just wonder, what do you have to do to get fired at BP? I mean, this is a guy who has not been a good public face of the company, saying he just wants his life back. Congrats, you got it, but it's going to be cold. He has lost money. He's made numerous mistakes. I don't understand how he still has a job. I mean, I'm available. I can do a lousy job for a couple $1 million.
I would say that's the difference between conservatives and liberals. Liberals believe in capitalism. On to the next subject, President Obama.
President Obama, he took some heat this week for sitting down with the ladies of The View on ABC. But in order to get the show taped, he had to diss the Boy Scouts, their 100th anniversary, the Jamboree, and he also scheduled some fundraisers while he was in New York. What do you think? Let's start with S.E. Let's go back to you. What do you think of the president being on The View and dissing the Boy Scouts?
Yeah, terribly tone deaf. Dissing the Boy Scouts, fine. Dissing anything to go on The View and do the coffee clatch with Whoopi Goldberg at a time when we have record high unemployment. We're fighting a war overseas. We're cleaning up the Gulf. I mean, this is not the time to do daytime television. But I watched it, and I got to say, they looked very bored. The ladies looked bored. I think they realized that canned policy speak does not work in a daytime format.
But you watched it. But Mark, does this diminish the presidency when you have a president? Or has he even gotten out of campaign mode?
I don't think it diminishes the presidency at all. Look, I mean, back to when Bill Clinton went on the Arsenio Hall show and played a saxophone. We want a president to be a man of the people. We want a president who can talk to we as Americans. And that's why for years, you know, The Tonight Show, Saturday Night Live even, political candidates and presidents have gone on TV in ways to reach different audiences. The View has a very different audience from Jay Leno or Saturday Night Live. Go for it, Obama.
Mark, Bill Clinton went on Arsenio during a boom time and peacetime. We're in neither now. It's completely tone deaf. It's the wrong time to do it.
Actually, there was a recession then, too, in '92.
No, Tom, what I got to tell you is that I think the president already has that viewership's vote. And you know what's going to happen here is he's going to make some statements, as he already has on The View, that the media will jump on. And for example, he was talking about whether his stimulus really created jobs or helped the economy. And Elizabeth Hasselbeck tried to ask him a pointed question about job creation. And he said, well, effectively, what could have happened, what matters is you would have been asking questions if your own job was at stake, Elizabeth Hasselbeck. So this is political season, Tom. The president was voted in on a protest vote, and the White House knows that the midterms are up, and there's a protest vote coming upon it in the midterms.
All right. Let's go on to the wedding of the week, the wedding of the year, the wedding of the century, whatever you want to call it. It's the weekend wedding for Chelsea, the big weekend wedding in upstate New York, price tag $3 million. Daddy, Bill Clinton, giving away his only daughter to investment banker Mark Savinsky, and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton taking on the highly political position of mother of the bride. So let's start with you, Liz. This is an area, obviously, where people are looking and going, is this just over the top? I mean, what would you, if you were Oprah Winfrey, what would you get Chelsea for her wedding?
You know what? I would suggest getting Chelsea. I would suggest anybody who's getting married, you know, give them a pair of earplugs and another house to live in. Because Cloris Leachman always said, you know, the way marriages can work is the husband lives in one house, the wife lives in another, and the children lives in another. So that's what I would give Chelsea Clinton.
Mark Levine, what do you say?
Well, if I were Oprah, I'd give you a car, and I'd give you a car, and I'd give you a car. No, I'll tell you what I'd give Chelsea Clinton. I think that we should get her something that she's never had, she's always wanted, that most of us has, but Chelsea Clinton has never gotten, and that is privacy. She didn't ask to be the daughter of a president, a secretary of state. Let's leave her alone. That's what I'd give her.
Yeah, but I disagree, Mark. One of the things the Clintons did ask when they first went to the White House was leave her alone. I think the media has. But S.E., what do you make of the big wedding? Is it finally a chance for her to live her own life and not be part of the political circus of the Clintons?
You know, I think aside from campaigning for her mom, which she did in 2008, I think she's been living her own life. I actually know Chelsea, and, you know, she's a hard worker, working in the private sector, doing her own thing. She always has. And I think this is just another sort of manifestation of her living her own life. She's getting married up in Rhinebeck, which, if you've been, is beautiful and kind of remote and country. And I'm sure it's going to be a lovely wedding. I'm sending her a bread maker myself.
All right.
A bread maker.
We'll leave it there. S.E. Cupp, Elizabeth McDonald, Mark Levine, thank you all very much for stopping by and giving us your thoughts.